Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you may be joining us from today. Thanks so much for being here as we focus today's pre-arrival webinar on campus safety. My name is Grace Fuller. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the Interim Assistant Director of International Experience and Engagement over at the International Services and Engagement Office, also referred to by ISEO. And we are joined by a myriad of wonderful campus partners today to talk about this important issue, and I'll allow each one to introduce themselves. So, Sheldon?
Hello, I'm Sergeant Sheldon King. I work with the police department, currently in charge of the Community Service Officer program. Those are our student workers. So if any of you need a job coming in, just I'll give you my email address after this, and I'll pass it on. Actually, I'll introduce them. I have Corporal Mercado, who's also with the police department. He's on there as well, and Assistant Chief for the police department, Frank Johnson, will be helping us out today also. But thank you all for being here.
Okay, I suppose
I'm sorry, I passed it on to John Carlos.
no worries. Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is John Carlos Sr. I'm an attorney and I'm the director at Student Legal Services at UC San Diego. My pronouns are he, him. Good to see everybody today. And I'll pass it on to my colleague, Jessica.
Hello, folks. Excited to be here in this space with y'all. My name is Jessica. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a training and education specialist with CARE at the Sexual Assault Resource Center, also known as CARE at SARC. And I'll pass it over to Pachia.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here and also on this panel with these amazing people. My name is Pachia Vu, and I am an assistant director with Student Financial Solutions. So with that, I'll pass it on back to Grace.
Thank you. Thank you. So as you can see, we have so many different experts here to join us and talk to all about how we keep our community safe at UC San Diego. Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. Just a reminder, you are in listen-only mode, which means you can hear us, but unfortunately, we can't hear you. So the main way we'll interact together today is through that Q&A feature on your Zoom menu bar. Do note that if for some reason we can't get to your questions today, you can always reach out to our office at icontact.ucsd.edu. And even if one of your questions is for a campus partner, they'll be sharing their contact information as well, but we're happy to redirect you. And then finally, we are recording. So you'll be able to view this webinar recording, as well as all pre-arrival webinar recordings at inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. They're typically up on our website in about a week's time after hosting the webinar. So this is a quick example of what that Q&A feature will look like if this is your first time utilizing one. We do have a dedicated time for Q&A at the end of today's session, but if you're like me, sometimes you have a burning question and you don't want to forget it. So you can go ahead and submit that throughout today's session, and we'll have different folks monitoring that with our hopefully dedicated time at the end. Okay, so a little bit about the International Services and Engagement Office. You most commonly know us at first, usually, through requesting your visa documents for your F1 or J1 student visa. So that's going to be your Form I-20 or DS 2019. And we have many different staff here to support our wonderful international student population. And in addition to your visa documents, as well as advising on your immigration status, we also host a number of different events and workshops to really support our global community here at UC San Diego. So we are so excited. You all make our community better, and we are excited to already start interacting with you until we get to meet you this fall. And something I love to highlight is our student population. So you can see here we have over 8,000 currently enrolled international students, about just over 4,000 undergraduate students, 4,000 graduate students, and then we also support over 2,000 alumni who are working post-graduation on work authorization as a benefit of their F1 or J1 student visa. So our service population is over 10,000, and you can see some of the top 10 countries our students are joining us from, some of the most common fields of study, but it's really exciting. We have such a diverse and multifaceted community here in so many different ways, and we're excited for you to join us and contribute to that. So just a warm welcome on behalf of all of us. We are excited that you are part of the Triton community, and we can't wait to support you now and then meet you in person soon. Okay, so just some reminders. I'm going to briefly go through. If you're a grad student, just make sure that you are completing your applicant portal. So that is going to be things like accepting your offer of admission, also filling out that statement of legal residence form if it is listed. And as always, if you have any questions, remember you can contact gradadmissions@ucsd.edu. If you are an undergrad student, your applicant portal will be at beatriton.ucsd.edu/account. You similarly will have an enrollment checklist, which will entail accepting your offer of admission and completing that California residency for tuition purposes if required. Now, I say this because it's doing those two steps that actually prompts getting that email to set up your Triton Link Active Directory and your Duo account. And that will provide you with your UC San Diego PID and email. So that is kind of like the first step of what you need to do to access almost all UC San Diego systems and platforms. We send all of our communication through your UC San Diego email. So those pieces are really, really important as you get set up and start your journey as a UC San Diego student. And then as a friendly reminder, as an international student, we have built out a section of our website specifically for you. So inewdegreestudent.ucsd.edu can really be used as a checklist so that you have a good understanding of what you need to do when in terms of requesting your Form I-20 or DS 2019, using that to book that visa appointment, so on and so forth. So we've had previous pre-arrival webinars that have gone into much more detail, so I won't get into too much detail here, but know that that is a resource that's always available to you. And with that, I will hand it over to my colleague, Sheldon King, or Sargent. Apologies.
Thank you, Grace. All right, hello, everyone. Again, my name is Sergeant Sheldon King. I work at the police department. Again, the assistant chief is on here, and Moises Mercado, who's a corporal with the department. I'm sorry, a detective now with our police department. They're going to be helping me out as well. Next slide, please. Or do I get to do that myself? Oh. All right, and again, this is just something that we have to fly through this. It's just mainly to make sure you all are safe when you're coming onto campus and give you a heads up on the laws and the do's and don'ts when you get to campus. Next slide, please. One more time, please. One more time, please. All right, just the topics we're going to go over. We're going to talk about the police department for a second, and then we're going to get into law enforcement, and then the common violations that happen on campus, and then scams, phishing, and identity theft. Throughout this presentation, you're going to hear scams, 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 because with our international students, they are consistently getting scammed. And then we won't have any time for questions, but if you have any, just go ahead and put them in the chat. Next slide, please. All right, when you come to the US, there are federal laws, which are enforced through the United States, then have California laws, which would be the state of California, which you will be in when you come in to attend UCSD. There'll be municipal codes, which would be the city of San Diego, and the violations that could occur within a city. And then the university themselves has their own laws. All right, some are infractions, some are misdemeanors, but we'll get to that a little later. Next slide, please. On campus, the UC San Diego Police Department works with our campus partners to create a safe campus for our community members and visitors. And we're just going to share some of the important information with you that we believe you should know prior to coming to campus. Next slide, please. The campus was founded in '60. There are currently 275 offices in the UC system. 50 of them are with the UCSD Police Department. We'll go ahead and skip some of this. Next slide, please. On the campus, when you get to your residential areas, you will see university safety officials. They're dressed like this. They partner with Housing and Dining, or we partner with Housing and Dining, and they provide some enforcement to the students who are on campus. They complete training, first aid, CPR. They go through conflict resolution, de-escalation, things like that, diversity and inclusion, to better assist them when they're interacting with someone on campus. The UCOs get to know the residents, and they become involved with the community that they served. There are 2 USOs assigned to each of the college campuses, or I'm sorry, each of the residential areas around the college campus. Next slide, please. And you will also see the CSOs. These are our student workers who I'm currently in charge of. We have a bunch of international students that work for the police department. So again, if you're interested, email me at the end of this. But they conduct escorts and provide a face for the department, sense of security for the students, faculty, and staff on campus. They again provide an escort. So if you need an escort from sundown to sunup, the CSOs will provide that escort. They'll walk you from point A to point B on campus. The next slide, please. Law enforcement. Next slide, I'm sorry. All right, these are the common violations that normally happen with our international students. Go to the next slide, please. The main one is false information regarding identity, possession of a fake ID. Many international students are get in a little bit of trouble for providing fake IDs. So just be honest with your identity. The police they're not out to enforce, they're here about education and only enforcement when necessary. So it is a crime to provide false ID to law enforcement. Next slide, please. Furnishing alcohol to a minor. So if you're not over 21, you cannot have a drink of alcohol. I understand in some of your countries, it may be legal, but in the United States, if you are not 21 years and one day, you are not able to drink. All right, it could be up to a $3,000 fine. And on top of that, if you are 21 and you provide alcohol to someone under 21, that's what this is, furnishing alcohol to a minor. So you cannot provide alcohol to anyone who is under 21. It is not legal, and it's again a hefty fine. Next slide, please. Open container. You cannot walk around with a container of alcohol. It is a violation, an infraction on campus. So if you are 21, you cannot walk around in public with that open container. Next slide, please. And I'm sorry for going super fast. We have to get through everyone. All right, public intoxication, another big thing for all students. All right, the police aren't against you. All right, but we do want you to drink responsibly if you do choose to drink. Okay, being drunk in public is a misdemeanor in California. So drink responsibly if you're over 21. Next slide, please. Loud music. Although some of you may be done with finals or done with work, your next door neighbors and roommates may not be. And loud music and disturbing the peace is a major issue on campus. So when you have that respect for your neighbor, in which they should have the same for you. All right, so the USOs get tons of call of loud music, loud video games, things of that nature. So just be respectful of your neighbors. Next slide, please. All right, what to do if the police stop you? All right, do not run, do not argue, do not touch, do not resist, tell the truth and don't lie. And then John Carlos later will get into more details about that. And then stay calm and go with the flow. If you do have to go to court for some reason, just make sure you dress professionally, be prepared, and have something to say. Next slide, please. Property theft. All right. This is our biggest crime on campus, property theft. When you get here, don't buy an expensive bicycle and don't buy an expensive electric scooter or micromobility. All right, it's a good chance that it may get stolen. Okay, so make sure you secure your valuables, lock your doors and windows, keep the serial numbers, and keep your personal information locked up. Next slide, please. Again, just tips for us to pass on to you. No loud music after hours. Stay with your friends or groups. Fly under the radar if you can. Do not draw attention to yourself. If you're going to drink, get your own drink. Know your limits. Have a cutoff drink. Again, be responsible. And then be disciplined. Beware of the sharks. Next slide, please. Scams and phishing. I'm going to fly through this. Next slide, please. All right, this has recently changed. Okay, this was the biggest or the largest amount that someone was scammed as a UCSD student. That has now changed. This has gone up to $1.1 million. A UCSD student and their family was scammed. So next slide, please. So these are the common scams. If you receive a call or an email from a king, queen, or prince or princess, you know, that might be a sign that this is a scam. All right. With the Chinese students, a threat of arrest. That's probably the biggest scam that, or the most common scam with our Chinese students, the threat of arrest from your marshals or the Chinese consulate. All right. If anyone calls threatening you, threatening any of you, come to the police department. All right. You're going to receive threats of holding your diploma, threats of your visa, offer to pay your tuition, third-party payments. You're going to get emails. If the Social Security office calls you, if for those who get Social Security numbers, they only will contact you through mail. All right, through mail. And that is it. All right, next slide, please. Again, IRS and Social Security, they will not call you on the phone, only through mail. All right, next slide, please. Just think anyone could be anyone on the internet. Criminals will try to extort you for money. Do not share your personal information. Do not send nude photos of yourself to anyone. People will get those nude photos and then they will befriend all of your friends on social media. And then they will threaten to forward your photo to your friends and your family, mother and father, if you do not send them money. And the police department, any police department, they're not going to go overseas to try to arrest a person to get your photos back. Okay, so do not send them money. What they're going to do is keep extorting you for more and more and more. Do not meet with anyone you do not know personally. And again, do not send money to anyone that you have not met or do not know personally. Next slide, please. Again, you may think you're talking to them on the left, but in reality, that's me on the right, trying to take all of your money. Next slide, please. Identity theft clues that someone has stolen your identity. You stop getting your bills, your credit cards start, merchants refuse to check or refuse your credit cards. Debt collectors start calling you. The IRS notifies you that more than one tax return was filed. If random things start to happen, then come to the police department. Someone's probably stolen your identity. Next slide, please. Ways to protect yourself: contact your consulate, monitor your financial statements, check your credit reports, strengthen your passwords, use your social media wisely, secure your phone, keep your mail safe. I won't go through everything. This is recorded, so you could go back and go through all these slides if you need to. Next slide, please. If you're a victim of a crime, lock down your compromised accounts, enroll in credit monitoring service. If offered, review your bank and credit card statements. When you get here, open up an American bank account. All right, if something happens to your account overseas, there's nothing we can do about it in the States. If you get an American bank account, there may be some hope. So just that in mind. If something does happen, there's a phone number down there at the bottom, the 1-877-438-4338. That is to the Federal Trade Commission, and they can help you out if things were to happen that occur overseas. And then again, file a police department or a police report with your local police department. Next slide, please. Here is our contact information. The UCSD Police Department is on the left. So that'll be your primary police department. For those who live in the city of San Diego, which is right outside of campus, that number to the right, the 531-2000, that is for those students who will be living directly off of campus. If you live outside of those two areas, there may be a different department you might have to call. And then if you have any questions or if you have anything, my email is at the bottom, smking@ucsd.edu. All right. If you have any questions, just go ahead and throw them in the chat. AC or Moises, do you have anything?
I don't have anything.
Nothing for me. Well, let me say this. If you're not going to stay on campus or right in the La Jolla area, make sure you learn who your um, your police department is. Make sure you write down their contact information just in case you do need them. You'll have that with you. And if you get it before there's an emergency, it's a lot better because you don't want to be in emergency looking for that information at that time. So gather that as soon as you get here.
All right, thank you all, and we'll see you in the fall. Stay safe, stay strong, and stay positive.
Hey everybody again, John Carlos, and um, I hope that at the very least you're taking from this presentation. We just heard from our colleagues in the police department who are focusing a lot on scams, talking about property crime on campus. The good news is, as the focus suggests, we don't have a lot of violent crime on campus. A very safe campus, relatively speaking. So please keep that in mind. None of this, of course, is meant to scare you away, but we do want to warn you. We do want you to be aware that there are unfortunately lots of scams that happen on and around campus, and so we want to point those out to you as well as make you aware of the resources that you have on campus as well if you need any assistance. So if you could move to the next slide, please, I appreciate it. So again, I'm going to talk a little bit about scams. I don't want to go too much into it, but I'll talk about that briefly, and then a few other considerations, insurance, and off-campus housing, I think are important to talk about. Next slide, please. Okay, so yeah, as you heard from Sergeant King, we do have scams. We do have international students that are targeted. This first bullet point usually involve asking you to deposit a fake check. That doesn't actually happen that's not always what it is, but I do see a lot of times where students are targeted, asked to immediately send a wire transfer, PayPal, Zelle, Venmo, and in exchange, the person on the other end is promising to send a check that's, oftentimes more than the payment that, you agreed to. But based on because of the way that the United States banking system works, uh, uh, an electronic transfer will happen immediately, whereas a fake check or any check, it takes a little while to deposit. And it's not until after it's deposited that the bank, could potentially realize that it's fake. So I see this when it comes to employment offers. Sometimes I see it sometimes when it comes to housing. Um, Keep in mind that most every phone call or email that you get from whether it's Social Security, the IRS, that's our federal tax service, Homeland Security, ICE or Customs, those are going to be fake. The government doesn't call you. Okay, if they need to get in touch with folks, they will either send a letter or they will send officers. So please assume that that's fake. And if you're not sure, give us a call. Call Student Legal Services. Call even the UCSD Police Department to get some information. You want to make sure that you double check. The unfortunate situation with the student who lost over $1 million. That was a circumstance where essentially they were, of course, told, "Don't call the police. Keep this secret and don't tell anybody." And eventually, of course, after sending over $1 million, the student realized, okay, maybe this is not real. So make sure that you're careful when it comes to renting, including, unfortunately, our UCSD website, off-campus housing. Doesn't happen much anymore, but every once in a while, we'll get a fake listing on there that'll describe this incredible location and have a cheap, monthly rent. I really recommend that if you are renting off campus, that you look at the place before you send any money. Okay, you want to make sure that it's a valid listing. Unfortunately, a lot are fake listings. But off-campus housing is a great place to start if you're looking for off-campus housing. There are a few Facebook websites and I know folks use WeChat to communicate about housing off campus. Again, make sure that you look at the place before you send any money, because if you send money, and it's a fake, you're not going to get the money back. It's as simple as that. Again, with Handshake, which is the service that's used by UC San Diego, the Career Services Office. Every once in a while, a fake listing will get through where, again, they're going to offer you a job or an opportunity. They're going to send you a check, but you just need to send them an immediate transfer of money. That's don't fall for it. Okay. Yes, fake merchandise is of course a thing. We have lots of websites in the United States now that try to protect from that, but they're not perfect. So again, if you have any concerns or questions, talk to folks. Okay, talk to the resources that you have on campus. Anytime anybody asks you to send prepaid cards, iTunes gift cards, even cryptocurrency, it's going to be a scam. So again, don't send any money until and unless you have you verified that it's a legitimate offer or deal. Next slide, please. Okay, and so a few things to consider as well. And these aren't scams, but it's very important for you to be aware of them. First off, the United States medical insurance and dental insurance, the way that it works here is very unique. A lot of students, particularly international students, are very surprised to find out how it works in the United States. If you enroll at UCSD, you have to have health insurance. If you'll also get dental insurance as part of that, but understand a couple things. Number one, your insurance company is separate from, say, the hospital system or the medical office that you might be receiving services. So it's really important if you are in a situation where you're looking for, say, cosmetic dental work, Invisalign, if you're looking for if you need a procedure, even if it's something that your doctor or nurse is recommending, it might not be covered by insurance. And so, unfortunately, particularly for anything, again, related to any, say, cosmetic dental work, that's one that I see relatively frequently. It might not be covered by insurance, so you have to talk to insurance before you proceed to make sure that you don't have to pay out of pocket. Okay, if you're living off campus, get the best renter's insurance possible. So this can include coverage against loss, theft, or damage. It can include liability insurance, which is basically if somebody gets, say, hurt on the property, they'll sue everybody. That's how we lawyers work in the United States. So you want to get liability insurance. A decent number, and more frequently, I'm seeing landlords require it, renter's insurance. I say even if it's not required, again, but get the best you can. I don't have a particular insurance company, but be careful about the cheapest ones. Shop around and be an advocate for yourself. Okay. Also look into maybe getting a loss of use coverage, which not every renter's insurance policy offers. So loss of use coverage basically it basically pays for alternative temporary housing if something serious happens at your off-campus unit. If there's a flood and they have to replace the floors and the walls, and you got to stay somewhere else for a few days. It very rarely happens. But it happens every year to a couple of groups of students that we will hear from at Student Legal Services. So again, it'll cost you $15 to $20 a month, which I think is very reasonable considering the amount of coverage that you can get. So again, get the best renter's insurance you can, get the best automobile insurance you can. A lot of our international students like renting cars to drive, don't want to purchase a car maybe and want to drive around locally, or maybe for holidays, spring breaks, times when class is not in session, will want to rent a car, drive around, check out national parks or whatever, which is a great thing to do, and you absolutely should. But just make sure that you get the best, again, automobile insurance that you can get. And liability insurance coverage is not enough. That basically covers you if it's your fault, and that's a requirement of law. You have to have that insurance at a basic. But that doesn't cover anything else. So if your car gets damaged and it's not your fault, you're going to have to pay for that. So again, um, make sure that you get the best automobile insurance you can, even if it's temporary. And as you can see in the chat that Grace has kindly dropped a couple of links and mentioned here as well. Check out our Introduction to California and U.S. Law so you can find out more information about driving a car, buying a car, about renting. I've had a couple students recently. There's an on-campus system offered by a company called Enterprise where you can rent a car. It was initially meant for essentially for business purposes. It does not provide personal coverage. And so we've had an unfortunate situation where we've had students who've rented from that enterprise insurance and find out that they are not covered if they're using that vehicle for personal reasons. So please be careful of that as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so again, a few off-campus tips. If you're living off campus, keep in mind that all tenants, all your roommates are jointly and severally liable. And that's a fancy way of saying that everybody is responsible for paying the rent. And what that means is, a lot of times, of course, students will have roommates, and each roommate is going to be paying some share of the rent, right? A third or a quarter or whatever it might be. And of course, depending upon how many people are living there. Um, Please understand that if you say you have a roommate who doesn't pay their share of the rent, the landlord has the legal authority to not only go after that roommate, but can go after everybody that signed on the lease. And that would, could include you, that could include anybody who has agreed to be a co-signer or a guarantor. So you might want to consider using a roommate agreement. You can find one on our website under the sample forms and agreements tab, where basically you just kind of write down, what the understanding is of folks, of roommates, so everybody's sort of on the same page. And again, keep in mind that that if your roommate is violating the lease agreement, you can be held responsible because of this joint and several liability rule. So you want to be careful when you pick your roommates. You're entering into a very serious legally binding contract when you agree to live with them. So please understand that. Protect your security deposit. So when you move into a place, a lot of times the landlord's going to ask you to pay, say, 1 month's rent as a deposit to make sure that when you move out, if there's any loss or damage to the place or cleaning is required or repairs or whatever, that security deposit can be used essentially to get the place back in the same condition it was when you moved in. So you want to protect your security deposit by taking lots of pictures when you move in, take lots of pictures when you move out, so that you can prove the condition of the place. A lot of times folks will sign a 1-year lease, or, it could even be 2 or 3 years. And that's a lot of time to pass between when you move in and when you move out. Again, your job is to return the place in the same condition as you found it. So make sure you document that condition, okay? So take lots of pictures, fill out an inspection checklist, which you can find on our website. A lot of times landlords will provide that to you. If you're going to move out, you want it. So make contact Student Legal Services if you want us to go over your lease, and we can remind you of some of the stuff. But you want to make sure, again, that you do everything possible to protect your security deposit. The last thing I'll say is that, as Sergeant King said, if you have an interaction with the police, keep a couple things in mind. Number one, do not lie to the police. Do not physically resist. If you lie to the police, then that is a criminal charge, potentially. Number two, you have the right to remain silent. So if you're in a situation where you're concerned that what you might say could get you in further trouble, keep in mind that you have a right to remain silent when you speak to the police. If you're on campus, you absolutely have to identify yourself. If you're off campus and you're driving, you have to identify yourself. But understand that you also have the right to remain silent. and you want to use that. So I wanted to point that out as well. I hope this has been beneficial. I'll go ahead and end now, but I will, of course, stay on for any questions or concerns that y'all might have. That is my contact information. I'm actually going to also put my email address in the chat. So if you are not in the United States, not in California, and you want to verify that, a listing for an off-campus housing listing is valid, contact me. Do not send money until you've verified that the place is legitimate. With that, I'll end and pass on to the next presenter. And thank you.
Hello again, everyone. As a reminder, my name is Jessica, he, she, her pronouns, and I'm with CARE at the Sexual Assault Resource Center, also known as CARE at SARC. And I'll share a little bit about our services and when and if you might need to reach out to us, how you can do that, and ways for y'all to stay safe. You can go to the next slide, please. So CARE at SARC is a completely free and confidential support office for folks who have been impacted by sexual assault, relationship violence, or stalking. It is also a resource for people who might be supporting someone who's been impacted by sexual assault, relationship violence, or stalking. There are no additional costs or fees associated to accessing our services. We don't bill your insurance. We don't ask for any out-of-pocket payments. It is completely free, whether you are seeking support services or you're seeking prevention education workshops or trainings. In terms of confidential, this really means that all of our staff have confidential privilege here at the university. I'll spend a little bit more time talking about this confidentiality piece on the next slide in a moment. But what I want to clarify about this confidentiality is that we are not going to be notifying other people when you seek out support services with us. So this means we're not, writing it and adding it to your account, to your student account. We're not reaching out to any parents, legal guardians, or emergency contacts. We won't be notifying your roommates or any of your college deans. So we only share out your information if we receive written consent and if you want to be connected to other resources on campus or off campus. Our services are available to all graduate students, undergraduate students, staff, and faculty at the university or any affiliated UC San Diego member. We're really able to support anyone regardless of when the incident took place, even if it was something that happened before coming to UC San Diego, or even if it was off campus or outside of San Diego. So we recognize that these incidents, can have a lasting impact on someone. And when people experience transitions or changes, there can be additional layers of stress and trauma that folks might be navigating. So we always make sure we highlight that. Our office does use three main frameworks to support folks on campus. This is that we are survivor-centered, meaning that we really work with a person to ensure that we are supporting them in the way that they want to be supported. We're going to give them information, give them options, and we're only going to, move forward with whatever decision they think is best for them. So we're always going to ensure that they are the ones in the driver's seat and that they're the ones gearing us and guiding us in terms of what they want to see next. We're going to be doing the best to explain what we can and cannot support with them with, right? So in terms, and I'll talk a little bit more about these survivor support services in a moment, but we'll explain all of the options they have and, they can assess what might feel appropriate in that moment. Empowerment-based really means that we're working with folks and recognizing that they're coming to our office with a lot of strengths. And we want to make sure that we are working in conjunction with them and that we are complementing their strengths and making sure that we are valuing what they're bringing to the table. Trauma-informed recognizes that trauma impacts people in many different ways and that there are many different healing modalities that folks might seek. Our role here is to really explain how trauma might impact someone, rationalize why someone may have reacted in a moment in whatever way it was, and really process, how they can start healing from that experience. That image on the screen is a picture of our lobby. Due to the confidential nature of our space, we don't have a drop-in hangout space like most other resource centers on campus, but we do encourage folks to reach out and say hello. Outside of us supporting survivors, we do often do office tours or meet with different campus representatives or students. So we always encourage folks to reach out and say hello. We'll go to the next slide, please. I mentioned I would circle back to this confidentiality piece. So what I wanted to clarify is that our CARE staff are all certified sexual assault and domestic violence counselors under California law. This means that our one-on-one conversations with any person we might have, clients, people we are connecting to support services, are protected by law. So in terms of this confidentiality, there are some limitations that may be reportable. This is if folks express that they have been impacted by child abuse, elder abuse, if they're considering hurting themselves or hurting other people. Now, this doesn't necessarily automatically prompt a reporting process, but it's going to prompt an assessment for us to engage in a series of conversations with that person to better understand, that situation dynamic and assess if we need to move forward with a report. Again, we're going to do our best to be upfront and clear about what we can and cannot do and what our confidentiality privileges do protect. Now, I want to highlight that most staff on campus are not confidential support people. There are only very few limited folks who do have confidential privileges, and those confidentiality privileges may vary based on the license or certification that they might have. So we always make sure that folks know and have access to who might be confidential if you want to have a private one-on-one conversation that will not lead to a reporting process. And we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So our survivor support services really are intended to help navigate what's next after someone's been impacted. We do offer 24/7 support via phone number access. We are able to help folks outside of our typical business hours, on the weekends, and during holidays. And we do have on-call staff that can respond to those reach outs if it is an urgent and an immediate crisis moment. Our advocates and survivor support staff are able to really go through all the options and rights folks have. So we make sure we review all the reporting options through the university and Title IX process, as well as the reporting process through our California criminal legal system. So really walking through all the rights that folks have and all the options that they might have. If folks choose to move forward with any reporting option, we are able to provide accompaniment to any meetings, court proceedings, forensic exams, or anything that may be affiliated to that case. Our support service staff are also able to support with any safety plan. So the first thing we're going to do when we meet with folks is ensure that there is a safety plan in place so that we are really maximizing that person's safety and well-being. Outside of safety planning, they also connect to different campus and off-campus service providers in case folks are interested in exploring counseling opportunities, need support with their housing, might need a temporary leave of absence from work, or may need any other referrals. We're able to work with folks here at the university, but also in our local San Diego community. They also offer holistic healing programs, and these are drop-in style programs for folks to be able to explore what healing can look like and feel like outside of traditional talk therapy. So it can be exploring healing through movement, yoga, music, art, or even sound healing. We'll go ahead to the next slide. Our prevention education and training services really encompass all the work that we do to ensure that our students, staff, and faculty have the skills to be able to form and build healthy and meaningful relationships and friendships on campus, be able to best support survivors, navigate consent, and assert their boundaries. We do a lot of education with all incoming first-year transfer students and grad students and make sure that we introduce some of the topics that we work with to really create a sense of, connection in our campus community, but also connect people with the skills to be able to create safety anywhere they might go. We engage with a lot of outreach opportunities, not just through resource fairs that the university puts on, but also during different awareness months to really elevate the value and importance of this education. If you are working with a student organization or you're part of a department and you want to request any workshops or trainings, you're able to do that through our website. And we're also able to customize any of the program offerings that we have to fit the unique needs of the group that you might be working with. And lastly, we do offer consultation and trauma-informed training. So anytime someone might be supporting a survivor or might be trying to figure out how can I enhance safety in this space or this org that I'm a part of, we can have one-on-one conversations with folks to really create that initial brainstorm and create action plans and steps of how you can move forward and best support survivors or, really get the hang of healthy relationships or, how to navigate conflict in a healthy way. So we always make sure we highlight that and ensure that folks know that you can always reach out to us to learn more about the work that we do. Next slide, please. So what the main piece that we really talk to folks about in terms of staying safe outside of our campus community is recognizing that we all are experiencing life in a virtual space online. And so what does it mean and what does it look like for folks to stay safe online? We have different tips and tools that we recommend folks follow to make sure that you are keeping your information private and that you are not increasing the sense of threats. So what we always share with folks is just be really mindful about what you might share in your social media accounts or any account that you have online. We always want to be really protective and extra careful with disclosing the location, like your active current location, your home address, your work location. And this can even be being mindful of how and where you take pictures. If there are, addresses displayed, information that people can zoom into and get. We always recommend people become familiar with privacy settings on different platforms and make sure that you know how you're maximizing your safety and keeping that information private and safe. Anytime that you may be getting repeated unwanted attention or, images that are maybe explicit that you are not consenting to receive, we always recommend folks to report those to that online or website or app moderator, or if it's consistent, consider reporting to law enforcement. We want to make sure that we are, stopping unwanted behavior from escalating and becoming something that could be in person and can target or harm that person. Lastly, if you realize that there have been consistencies in the way that someone's been reaching out to you, maybe showing up unannounced and like near your classes or coffee shop, that you are alerting authorities for support. We can always look through and understand, what stalking behavior may be going on, be able to support with, UCPD, work with them if we need to put in any restraining order or any forms of support or mechanisms that are going to really highlight your safety. And of course, you can always come talk to our office to help explore, what might be going on and how we can support you in processing what is happening and maximizing your safety. Now, I want to always make sure to clarify and name that although it is really helpful to keep, safety strategies in mind and that we can do our absolute best to stay safe as much as we can't control other people's actions and behaviors. And we also want to make sure that we normalize that, it is not fair for us to put the responsibility of staying fair on the victim or the survivor when we also need to hold those perpetrators or people who are causing harm accountable for their actions. If folks have any questions or need support, we always encourage you all to reach out. You can go to the next slide and I'll go ahead and share contact information. So you can reach us through our 24/7 access phone number that you have on the screen. You can email us, whatever modality may feel more comfortable for us. We are located at the heart of campus, which you'll get to know once you're here. But it is in the Student Services Center building, which is right next to the Price Center, and we're up on the 5th floor. We encourage you to follow us on Instagram at UCSD Care to learn more about the program offerings that we have and learn how you can get involved on campus. That QR code takes you to our link tree, and I'll also make sure to drop in some of these links and information in the chat. Go ahead and pass it over to Pachia. Thank you.
Hello again, everybody. Again, my name is Pachia Vu, and I'm from Student Financial Solutions, also known as SFS. Our team is the team that helps students like you and their families with all things related to your student billing account, university charges, and your campus ID card. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go over some tips on how to avoid housing and tuition scams. The first is always, always, always only pay through official university channels. So when you're logging in to view or pay your university bill, make sure you're only going through Triton Pay, which is at tritonpay.ucsd.edu. UC San Diego will never ask you for payment through other forms like gift cards, Venmo, Zelle, or cryptocurrency. Please only use the approved forms of payment allowed through Triton Pay. The next is to never ever share your login accounts or credentials with family members or friends. This includes your single sign-on and your Triton Pay account. That's very private and only yours. So now if you're wanting to grant like a family member access to your student bill. Let's say there's somebody that's going to help you keep track of it or help you pay it. Then what you want to do is set them up as an authorized payer. That way they'll have their own credentials to log in and view your bill and make a payment through Triton Pay. So to do that, go to tritonpay.ucsd.edu and you can set them up through there. The next thing is always be cautious of fake emails or phone calls. Scammers often pose as UC San Diego staff. You know, a lot of the red flags are if they're demanding immediate payment or threatening to, you know, arrest you or, you know, asking you to provide payment for your tuition or housing through very unusual payment methods. One example is we had a student who was scammed and told to pay their tuition through gift cards. Again, not something that our campus would ask you to do. So whenever you get fake emails or phone calls, you know, immediately do not click on any of the links, do not reply back. You can send, you know, any scam emails. We actually have an email account that you can forward it to. It's abuse@ucsd.edu. So definitely be very cautious of anything like that. Next, we always encourage our students to make sure you're checking your student billing account often. Use your Triton Pay account to review your charges and payments. You know, review your statements regularly. You know, even if you want to put something on your calendar once a month, just log into your account and check to make sure that all of your charges are correct. If you notice something that isn't correct or looks a little weird, that's what my office is here for. We're here to answer any questions you have. We can go through the bill with you and talk you through every single transaction. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions. Next slide, please. Next, don't fall for any of the discounted tuition offers. Oftentimes scammers will say, you know, if you pay me, you know, and then we'll pay the university and we'll do it at a discount. Definitely a scam. Again, don't listen to them. Only view your bill and pay your bill through Triton Pay. Next is your campus ID card. You want to make sure you always protect your campus ID card, have it on you, and protect the information that's on that card. Don't ever share your campus ID number with anyone or let them use your card. Watch for any type of emails that, you know, where they're posing to be somebody from the campus ID card and asking you to verify your information by clicking on this link. We would not do that. So make sure that whenever you're checking emails, that the messages are coming from @ucsd.edu. And then if we're asking you to visit a site, go to the site directly. Don't click on the links, you know, open up your internet browser and go to the website directly, or give us a call and say, you know what, I got this email and I'm not sure, because our team would be able to tell you, you know, okay, this is what you need to do, or no, that's a scam, don't listen to it. And of course, at any time, whether you lose your card or any card, make sure you deactivate it immediately. To deactivate your campus ID card, you're going to do that at the Triton eAccounts portal, and that's by visiting hdhtcas.ucsd.edu. And then just wanted to include a couple of little tips here regarding like just how to spot a scam. Oftentimes, you know, it's you know, something that pressures you to act urgently. There are often threats, you know, related to it, like regarding like deportation or academic consequences if you don't act immediately. Again, usually they ask for unusual payment methods. And then oftentimes poor grammar, or, you know, you're looking at the email address and it's not an official UCSD email address. Those are clear signs to, you know, that this is a scam. Do not respond. You know, reach out to one of our offices, you know, and let us know. And, you know, I can't reiterate this enough. When in doubt, please ask. this whole team here, we are here for you. So, no matter what your question, if you're unsure about something, please reach out to any one of us. And we'd be happy to walk through it with you and then help notify any of the other offices here as well. Okay, and then thank you. Now, just in case you need it, here's our contact information here. We're located at the Triton Pay office, which is at the Student Services Center on the first floor, right below, well, right next to like where the croutons is on campus. I've also listed our phone number in here. Our main point of contact is through the Student Services and Support portal. So the link is right there. If ever you need to contact us, you can submit a case through there and one of our agents will reach out to you. And then we've got our website, sfs.ucsd.edu. And if you have social media, that's our social media handle right there. We often try to, share information about like billing due dates, scam tips, as well as, just various information related to your student bills. So you're welcome to follow us through there. So with that, I'll go ahead and I'll pass it back to Grace.
Thank you, Pachia. So I just want to reiterate, please know that this webinar is not meant to scare you. Like Giancarlo said, we are a fairly safe campus. We don't really have much violent crime on our campus. But unfortunately, what we do see is a trend of scammers targeting international students specifically. And a lot of the times it's because you're in your home country and you're trying to figure out, okay, where am I going to live if I'm going to live off campus, for example, or paying tuition or any of these things. And so we want to make sure that you are as equipped as possible to be able to spot a scam. Like a number of my colleagues have mentioned, they often will use pressure techniques of like, don't talk to anyone about this. And that's how you know you should talk to someone about it. So talk to us, talk to whoever might be best suited to assist you, whether that's the Student Legal Services Center, you see San Diego Campus Police, maybe if it's about tuition, maybe it's Student Financial Solutions. There's so many people here who really want to make sure that you're safe and that you have what you need to protect yourself. So a few brief reminders, as Sergeant King mentioned, for US law, just remember that they may differ than the ones you're used to back home, and federal and state can be different. So for example, federal law, you have to be 21 to buy and consume alcohol. That's across the US. State law, possession and use of marijuana may be legal in the state of California, but not legal under federal law. So just understanding some of the impacts that can have, specifically to your international student status. Because the impacts of an arrest or encounters with law enforcement can have impacts on specifically your student status. So, for example, a visa revocation. So arrests by law enforcement eventually make their way into federal databases that are visible to the US Department of State. So the State Department can revoke your visa if they become aware of arrest. So I don't think this happens to the majority of our students, but I do want to make sure that students are aware of what some of the potential impacts can be. For minor and major offenses, people can be arrested for seemingly minor things like theft to very serious crimes like assault, and the US State Department does not necessarily distinguish between these. So any arrest, even without a charge or conviction, can be grounds as well for a visa revocation. Additionally, just unnecessary stress. So arrests create a lot of additional unnecessary stress for our international students. So while ISEO assumes the best of all of our new admits, of course, we strongly advise you to always follow all the laws to just not jeopardize any future plans you may have for yourself. One of the most difficult factors after being arrested is the amount of unknowns and the limited support that our office, ISEO, can provide. And finally, just a lasting impact. So from an immigration perspective, it is possible that an arrest could follow you for a long time. ISEO cannot tell if or when an arrest will be reported to the State Department and if the visa will then later be revoked. In order to determine these factors, you will likely need to hire an immigration attorney. So we just urge caution of doing your best to not put yourself or your educational investment at risk by getting arrested. And with scams, I know that we all have touched on this, but one of the things that we are seeing more recently is just that some scams about immigration status. So, for example, folks calling and maybe threatening your immigration status. Again, you will, if there are any impacts to immigration status, you'll be contacted by our office, which means you should verify with our office regarding your immigration status. There's a lot going on right now, and unfortunately, scammers can use an environment of fear and anxiety to their advantage. And so we definitely want to reiterate that while they often impersonate someone from an official agency and will threaten you and ask for personal information, often payment, we strongly urge you to do not provide this personal information, do not provide financial information, but rather verify. So ask for the name of the caller and the agency, hang up, look up that information, and then confirm. And again, you can confirm with our offices if you're worried about some of these things, or if you just have maybe like a funny feeling about it. And again, we work closely with our campus partners. So Sheldon mentioned this, but one, I'm reporting the scam to the police department. There's also the USCIS, so U.S. Citizen Immigration Services Avoid Scams website, as well as the Federal Trade Commission. And then finally, isafety.ucsd.edu goes through a lot of these different types of scams and how to watch out for them. So from legal and immigration scams to money and educational scams to taxes to housing to employment. And again, I know this is a lot, and it's a serious topic. It's not always the most fun topic to discuss, but like I said, we do want to be mindful and make sure that we are equipping you so that you can protect yourself and you can be aware and prevent any type of scam in that way. Okay, I'm going to click through these slides because we have discussed them before. And I see one, yes, Sergeant King.
Yeah, just one last thing from the police department. I know it's a lot of craziness going on with immigration and deportation in the United States that you all probably see. Just to give you a heads up, the UCSD Police Department's not going to come into your classroom or anything like that, or to your dorm room to touch on immigration. That's not our job. We will not be doing that. All right. So just to give those a sense of comfort, some of the international students have asked me previously if the police department will be doing that, and we will not. Okay, that's not what we do, and my heart wouldn't even allow me to do it anyway. So again, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm sorry for my little daughter in the background. Thanks.
We love your daughter. Thank you, Sergeant King, and thank you to everyone here. Like I said, it's a heavy topic, but it's an important topic, and we want to partner together to make sure that you are as safe as possible, that our campus community is as safe as possible, and equipping you with the knowledge and the resources to be so. So thank you. We look forward to you joining us for the next pre-arrival webinar, and take care. Have a great rest of your day.